A Cuppa Joe Nintendo is powered by the You, Me, and Capri Patreon. We want to say thank you to some people, starting with our Diamond Executive Producer, Slimer Snarf, our Platinum Producer, Robbie Bobby Miller, and then to our Gold level patrons like James Johnson, Ryan Turford, Egg Shen, Nasty Boots and Tammy, Joel Brooks, and Jonathan Brown. Thank you everyone for all of your support. Due to Sean traveling for work this week, Bobby is joined by Justin Masson of the Nintendo Dads.
So, Justin, man, I'm sitting here, right, and I'm looking at my list of games that I could be playing, and I'm waiting for Animal Crossing. I think a lot of us are waiting for Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
But in the time, I'm like, what do I play? And I fired up NBA Playgrounds 2.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic.
I haven't played it in quite some time, right? And I don't know if this was there before or not, but I had like 20,000 gold coins.
Really?
Yeah, and I never touched it. So it allowed me to unlock the entire roster.
Yeah.
So
I think, now, in memory serves me, I have to go back and do a check on this one, because I remember we got like early access to that. The PR company sent us that information, the game. But I remember that they had like some rough sales or something happened.
The first one,
I think they did like, they did like some patch, or you got some free stuff. Like, that was a game that came out janky, but they've done work to it. But the unfortunate part is it's been buried now over like years.
Yeah, well, the thing is, that was number one. So number one came out, and it was real janky, real messed up. The online wasn't there, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And what they did was they actually gave people Shaq Fu for free.
That's right. Yes, I remember that. Right, there was that, yeah.
This is number 2.
Of, like,
2K bought them out.
Oh.
So 2K bought them out, and now it's a 2K game. Still the same development team building the game, but 2K owns the rights to it now. And it allowed him to actually get more players than what was in the first one.
Yeah.
But man, it's actually fun. They fixed a lot of stuff in it. And I haven't played since launch. So I know when I first got it, I didn't really like a lot of the things they did. But now I'm actually liking it a lot. And it's not as good as NBA Jam. Like I'm not going to try to act like that it is at all. Yeah. But I enjoy it.
And that's interesting, right? Because that game was, and again, memory serves me, I want to think that was like June of 2018, right? So we're near 2 years, right? Yeah. And some of these games do have that kind of like, I think it's a game like No Man's Sky. Now, we're not in the exact same category there, but like this continue like, let's do some touches, let's do some free stuff, let's kind of give it some love and see if we can kind of get it to the level we want it to, right? Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. I always find like the Switch is missing sports games.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like it definitely feels like such a gap. You've got you've got NBA Jam. Well, or sorry, not NBA Jam, I apologize. Playgrounds, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Mario Tennis.
Which isn't that great.
Not great, right? Again, another example of games they kind of kept patching and patching and patching to get to
Mario Golf would be fantastic if they announced that.
That seems like a natural fit. Do you know what I mean?
Right. It was so good on the 3DS, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Now you're a baseball fan though.
Oh, right? I love baseball. Love baseball.
Like,
now,
is there any good baseball games?
RBI is but next year the show is coming.
Is that confirmed for the Switch?
That is confirmed for the Switch.
Oh, interesting.
So that's exciting. Now here's the other thing that's kind of exciting. The NFL and 2K kind of partnered together again. Yes. So that means we could get a football game on the Switch.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, right? Kind of seeing that licensing and that kind of agreement as well. So, but that's definitely something I want to. Why do I think I read an article this week that there was another baseball game coming as well?
Just that. That's the only
one. Just that one?
Okay. That's all I've seen. I don't know. All, you could be. There could be something new coming.
And then there's and I guess we shouldn't miss out something like I'm sure all your fans, someone's yelling at us saying, what about FIFA, right? FIFA's there as well.
Come on.
Right? FIFA's there every year. But like there's not a lot of sports games, right? Genuine like when we grew up, I remember like NHL 99 or Madden or like those, NBA, right? Those were like pinnacles of every year. Right, so
we'll see how it all pans out. Ultimately, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But so I think we're less than 5-6 days. Actually, we're about a couple days away now from Animal Crossing. We're not far out from now.
Yeah,
dude, the hype is unbelievable for this game. Like listen, man, I know that I love the game, right, and I'm a huge moron when it comes to this game. Like, I love it, but I could go toe to toe with Anybody, even our friend Josh Thomas, will go toe to toe with him. You know, but the thing is like, I did not expect the fervor for this game the way it is. Like, I really want to see Switch sales come. You know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and in all honesty, a couple things for me. Like and I think I've been pretty. I've talked to you about this before. I have never played an Animal Crossing game before.
I can't
other than Happy Home Designer, which people are like, don't count that. So I'm like, okay. So I guess quote unquote, I'm going to use the air quote here, like a mainstream Animal Crossing game. Yeah. But I don't know why. So I don't have any like nostalgia touch to it. I don't have. And in everything about it probably does not scream like a Justin game. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, where's my objective? Where's my end boss? Blah, blah, blah. But the thing that I love, and I think that you're probably seeing it as well, and I think we are so fortunate to be stewards of the communities that we have entailed or helped create. But just to your point, the fever pitch for it. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the excitement I hear, like you know, our community. We have a group of guys that create their own podcast related to it, right? The NDads Crossing, right? Like, but there's such a passion for it. So I'm getting sucked into this passion. I'm getting sucked into this excitement because everybody else is. So, and then I think like to add on to that, of course, that sexy Switch that was released this week, right? I would love to know, like, in this sense, did they use a different design company? Like, did they actually like go to a different marketing company, a different PR team, and say, "Here's the Switch as basically like as a blank canvas. What would you make this look like?" Because it is so different
from anything
they've done.
I mean, it's not even close to something that they put. It's not near. I mean, Smash It, I think, is the worst. Yeah, I think for that game, that is the worst, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And then, so you look at that and you go, okay, Smash, or Diablo, they got one. Now, Dragon Quest got one. It was decent.
Yes.
Dragon Quest was decent. But man, it's like...
It's on a different level.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I you know, and again, I think if you're an Animal Crossing fan, we've seen a ton of people who are like, this is what I've been waiting for. And this is your question.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a bump in sales? 100% there's going to.
Man. Yeah.
Right? Now, the question is it, hey, I have been waiting for Animal Crossing and now I'm getting into the Switch? That's question number one. Question number two is a person like you who's like, I love this system. I'm a collector, right? And that's the interesting part that Nintendo's in so often, right? We've seen them do this with their 3DSs and all these other things. Is we know there's a collector's market for it, right? And Bobby, you're an example, right? I'm looking at your screen, buddy. I can see your two Switch lights over there, right? I can see a Game Boy. Like, you do these things, and they know they have a market for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was like, sure, look at like, should I'm really thinking like I'm you know, I was like, man, this looks good. But it will be interesting to see the sales. Again, the interesting part about it, and we joke on my show that the Justin puts his business hat on, which oddly enough looks like a flat cap, apparently. But
listen, in the coffee shop today, it looks like a flat cap. So
it looks good.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
This is, you got to think, Nintendo, when they're releasing this, is 2 weeks from the end of their fiscal year. Right? The end of March 31st is their fiscal year. So this is a fantastic time to do an amazing bump in your Switch sales, right? So you had a really nice increase around the November, December time period when they did the Switch Lite, right? 4 months later, you do another bump because you've got a new Switch on the market that looks amazing. Do you know what I mean? So you're finishing off the year on a really nice high. And then obviously with the release of Animal Crossing. And I'm so fascinated to see what those sales look like. Because again, if we think about this and business numbers interest me, this will be like, they'll only have them basically 11 days. Right? To get that, to say like, here, basically for a reporting period, we have the 20th to the 31st. That's the 11 days. What does that number look like? And we have seen, interestingly enough, in the last, couple quarters, or, if I go back to the fiscal or the quarter endings in September, when they had released Link's Awakening and they had released, Link's Awakening, they had a really high sales rate on that. And then if I even go to the next quarter, right, you think of obviously Luigi's Mansion, I think had a 5 million sales rate in 3 months. Right? So it's really interesting to see. But I mean, I don't know, man. I'm excited to dig in this thing.
So one thing that I did, because I wanted to bask in all that is Animal Crossing. I wanted to go back to my roots of New Leaf. Right? So I wanted to go back and do things that I did during New Leaf. And the one thing that I did in New Leaf was I joined a bunch of Facebook groups.
Oh, okay.
So I did the same thing this time because I wanted to put my finger on the pulse. Because my thinking was, man, even though that I've moved on with social media and I'm not on Facebook that much, I don't believe that the true heart of Animal Crossing has moved on. Like, Facebook is the place where you can, because here's the thing, right? You can't search Discord to find Animal Crossing groups, right? You have to go someplace else to find them. But with Facebook, you know there's Animal Crossing groups out there.
Yeah.
So I went back to the roots. And the groups are filled, 20,000, 50,000 people in it. Like, it's packed with people, right? And I'm telling you, Justin, this is no lie. The number one questions that are getting asked are, did you get the special edition Switch? Or should I get a Switch regular or a Switch Lite? And that's the question coming from people through and through. And it's all people that don't have a Switch at all. So it really, to me, I'm so curious to see what kind of a bump this game does. Because here's the thing. For me, I just want to see this game be super successful. I want to see this game go next level. Like, this is it for Nintendo. We're going top tier with this. And this is a game that can... This is like Smash. This is like Mario Kart. This carries the console. Yeah. And that's what I want. Because ultimately, if that happens, then me as a fan, I get what I want on the next console. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And the interesting thing about it, and you know, I think watching what Nintendo has done this quarter has been absolutely fascinating with this game.
Oh my god!
Right? It has literally been like everyone move aside, clear the way. Animal Crossing is coming through. We are not discussing or touching anything else other than like we've got a little Pokemon update over there, we've got a little Smash update over there, but like clear the way. We're doing this, and again, and I can't remember, and this is maybe why we're so in a fury about like why is there no direct. I don't think of any other game that they have done this basically like move aside for the last couple of years.
Nothing. They didn't do it with Breath of the Wild.
No,
right?
They didn't do it with Smash.
They didn't do it with more Odyssey.
Right?
You had all kinds of stuff coming out around then.
Yeah. This was a full clear the way. The other interesting thing that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Are you concerned about the lack of transfer save data issue with this? And the reason I ask that is, and again, I'm not an Animal Crossing fan, right? Or not fan, a player. So I don't have the nostalgia. But when I've heard so many people say, I have sunk, you know, I had it on my 3DS before I went to bed. I'd play it for 20 or 30 minutes. I'd do my bells, whatever it is. And I sunk, you know, 300-400 hours. And then they're like, oh, I got a new 3DS. I just transfer the file and I'm good to go. As a guy who has so many Switches, right, this game feels like it is so perfect for I'm just going to transfer it over to the Switch Lite and I'm going to head somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Are you concerned about that, or what do you think?
I think, here's the thing. I think the people that are complaining about it are just looking for something to complain about. Are looking for negativity in their life. They need to get over the negativity. And this is why I say this. Number one, the Switch is a portable console.
Yeah.
It's not like the Switch isn't portable. It isn't like it's the Wii U and you can't walk out the door with it. You can literally pick this thing up and walk away with it. All right, so that's number one. Number two, they are working on something, because I think they even recognize it, like, hey, we need to do something. So it's whatever it is. Now, I had multiple 3DSs, and I did. I transferred. Every time I bought a new 3DS, I did a system transfer, and then everything was there.
Yeah.
I'm in the Animal Crossing community. We understand it. And I know there's people that like Animal Crossing and claim to like Animal Crossing, claim to love Animal Crossing. I get it. But I feel like there's a difference between people that like to play the game and the community. When you talk to the community is okay with this because the cheating that took place during New Leaf bothered us so deeply.
So what's the cheating?
The cheating
again,
is,
and now I'm going to ask this question because I have no understanding.
Absolutely. So what happens is the currency in Animal Crossing is bells.
Okay.
And there are rare items in this game that are very difficult to get. So what would happen in New Leaf was you get let's say a crown, right? The crown is 1,000,000 bells. It is not easy to get 1,000,000 bells in that game. It takes some time. And it just randomly pops up in your store. So what these people were doing is a thing called duping. Okay. And what it was when I would come to your town, drop some bells on the ground, right? Go to exit, and as I'm exiting, you hit the Wi-Fi button on your 3DS. And what you do is you wait until it does one perfect counterclock, and when you shut it off, it kicks me out of your town, reboots your system. When we both fire back up, I got my bells, you got your bells.
Oh.
Yes. Because it tricks the system into thinking, hey, you didn't drop any bells because a save didn't happen. And it goes, oh, you had bells on the ground, so you're okay. So what was happening was people were getting millions of bells. They were buying these crowns, and then they were going into Facebook groups and auctioning stuff off. And essentially ripping people off. Because what they do is they'd sell you the crown, and then they would dupe a bunch of them. They would go to you, sell you a crown for 1 million bells or 500,000, but whatever it was, then go to the next group and the next group and the next group. Now, the cloud save problem is exactly what power saves was on the 3DS. Power saves was you'd hook your Switch up to this component, or you hook your 3DS up to this component, and it would save your game on a level that it was. Then you open your gates up, and you could do whatever you wanted to do to your town, and then all you do is go hook your 3DS back up, and it would bring you back to the last save. Exactly like cloud saving, right?
Okay, yeah.
But what would happen is, if I had a popular villager, right? If I had a popular animal in my town, and that animal went into boxes, that means that villager is going to leave my town. The next person, if I open my gates and Justin, you walk into my town, and you go talk to that animal will ask to move to your town. So now if I have a popular animal or one that you're really into, I go into a Facebook group and I go, hey man, Marshall's up in boxes, start the bidding at 50 million bells. Yeah. Boom, right? Or whatever it was, 10 million bells, whatever it was. And people would start bidding for an hour. And then you cut the auction off, just kind of like eBay, you cut it off. You bring that person into town, sell Marshall off for 20, 30 million bells, right? Yeah. Go back, power save, go to the next group, and do the same thing. Now you go.
So there's a whole side economy, side game of Animal. So the way I've always looked at Animal Crossing from, again, the 30,000 foot view is, I create little person, little person goes builds tent or house, animals come in, I need to do daily tasks. And that's why I'm always like, you do know that I have what I call a life. Yeah. And that's what I currently do. Yeah. I don't get this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So now the thing
all I know is that Tom Nook is a piece of work. You know what I'm saying? That guy is a piece of work.
So now there's people that are going like, well, big deal. It's bells. It's not real money. But the problem is you have kids playing the game. Yep, and when you're causing an anxiety issue for little kids that are flipping out to their parents complain to Nintendo. Nintendo goes, we need to fix this problem. And that's where it's all stemming from. Now, they've said they're working on something. I've listened to Jesse talk ad nauseum, and it's like Jesse's talking, and Marty don't get it, and I'm like banging my head against the wall going, how do you not hear what this guy's saying? This game is like no other. They can't just pull one profile out and move it to a new console because that profile is attached to that game. You know what I mean? Like, here's an example. Like, let's say that, I don't know, Marty has a gold shovel, right? Yeah. And that's part of whatever. And then they pull that out and go, where's the gold shovel go? Like, it does it mess the game? Will it break the game? So I get what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? In a nutshell.
And from my perspective, is like so I was like, oh, I'm going to get Animal Crossing again. The community is into it, and I know that like my daughters also. I showed them the trailer, like this looks awesome. They're super into it, and they really loved Animal Crossing. Happy Home Designer, right? So I was like, okay, this makes sense. And my wife really loved Stardew Valley, like sunk a crazy amount of time into Stardew Valley, right? So I'm like, this kind of makes sense. So I'm like, okay, so I'll get the game. So my first debate was digital or physical, right? And I was like, oh, what do I do? I decided to go digital. And the reason I went digital was if it's on a cartridge, I'm always taking the cartridge out. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's like, you're going to want to be going in every day to do like a 30-minute task or whatever it is, this little thing, this little like come back. So you should have it digital to do that. I was like, okay, fair enough. So it's on the system. And then I was like, okay, well, we have 4 profiles on our Switch, right? Each of the family members have one. So I was like, okay, sure, look it. So you guys can all have your own island, your own building, your all this stuff. So I'm like, this is great, cool. Yeah. And then they're like, no. One island. Yeah. All 4 of you live there. And I was like, wait, what? I was so as a uninformed consumer, right? As just a person who's seen how the Switch game works, all of this, like if the kids go to side play Breath of the Wild in their profile, they have their own save file. Do you know what I mean? Like these are all like, okay, these all make sense. Yeah. And then to find out, no, you don't have that, and you're all on this island. I was like, I am so confused what's going on right now. But then I love like that 4-player option. Do you know what I mean? Where they're all, I think it's party leader or something. I'm like
party
that
mode or whatever it is.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds cool, right? Yeah. That sounds like a little fun little bit we can do with the kids. Yeah. And then now, and if I'm correct now, Bobby, it's also online, right? So, I mean, obviously you appear to know what's going on here. Yeah. So like you and I could get on a call, right? And you could walk me through the world of Animal Crossing and figure it out, right? Yeah. There's a lot of really cool things. I love what they're doing, but I think as a person who is uneducated and uninformed and new to it, you're like, I'm a relatively smart person for Nintendo. I like to think that, right? And I was like, but this is a brand new franchise, brand new IP that to me is like, I know there's that fervor for it. But yeah, no, I am excited. And I also think, a little bit of the world that we're in right now, a little bit of escapism is not a bad thing.
Exactly. Right? Now, the only thing that I have an issue with is I do have a little issue with...
Tell me more.
That you have to have multiple Switches. I understand that that's going to cost money for people. Like with New Leaf, all you need to do is have an additional game. You had to buy additional copies of the game. But because with the Switch, the game saves to the system, not the game, that's a problem. And that's where the problem goes in. But it should be as simple as, hey man, I pull the memory card out and put a new SD card in, and then I can do what I want to do. I wish they would do something like that. I do wish they would do that.
Well, and for a guy who right now, and you and I had a DM recently, and I'm like, I have the original Switch, right, the one from launch 3 years ago, and I turned that thing on, and that fan is making an awful sound, and I'm like, I am very concerned that I'm going to get into Animal Crossing. I'm going to get 3 months in, and all of a sudden, a small puddle of a poof of smoke's going to come out the back of my Switch, and everything goes black, and then I'm like, what do you do? Now Nintendo's saying they can recover it, right?
Yeah, they're saying that they'll recover it if you have
Nintendo
like
Online. That's. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Right now, look, this is all we have to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
This is going to be like Pokemon. This is going to be like everything else. This game launches, and people are going to fall in love, and they're not even going to think about it. Because we hear about the tragedies, right? But, like, how many people really lose data? Honestly, there's a lot of people that go like, what if? No, don't tell me your what ifs. Don't tell me your could have, should have's. How many people do you know? And don't tell me Brian Altano, because you don't know Brian Altano. You heard Brian Altano say it on a podcast. How many do you know that have actually had their Switch break and you've lost all your data? Now, I know there's people out there. I'm not acting like there's not. But like me personally, I've had 0 issues with my Switch. Now, I'm in the very minority. I know that. I got no Joy-Con drift, none of that stuff. I have no Joy-Con drift. I have multiple Joy-Cons. No issues with it.
Dude, I've sent in 7.
Well, Justin, be nicer with your Switch. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I have kids. That maybe one of the reasons why
that could be why. Your kids are brutal, man. They're probably gnawing on them and stuff. Like if you fed your kids once in a while, you wouldn't have this problem. No,
probably, right?
I tease. No, but I know that I'm in the minority. I know I'm in the very low minority. But like for me, I go. I can't tell you one person that I know that has had to send their Switch in and lost everything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anybody that has. Like, I've heard stories. I've heard people talk about it. But me personally, I don't know anybody that has. So, I just feel like it's the easy way to, like, drum up topics and things to talk about and people to be fiery. I just think about it like, this game comes out, nobody talking about it. Like, it's done. So
for sure.
But I know something I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
Man, Reggie went to GameStop.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is that crazy or what? I mean, I don't think it's crazy, but like it's like, oh my God, this is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that a lot of people are reading, I think, a lot more into it than they probably need to, right? Yeah. Again, the important thing to think about there for Reggie is he's board of directors, right? So it is more of a consultation role than anything else. He's not in the weeds every day. He's not telling them how to run it. No. And it's also part of the there's other new board directors they're putting on as well.
Yes, just
right. So there were several of them that I think were stepping down by effective June 6, 2020 or 2021 or June 2021, and they also put in a couple other new people as well. I think there's a little bit of stabilization in relation to the market for them, right? I do think it's a little bit of talking to their shareholders and their stock, kind of helping to stabilize the stock market a little bit in that, and saying like, look at, because they know they've been trying to sell GameStop for a while. Yes. They put it up to bid. They weren't successful. We've seen the share prices fall. This is a little bit of stabilization. Yeah. Hey guys, we recognize that we're not doing well. So by the way, we're bringing in to our board of directors in a consultation perspective, essentially, a huge name in the video game industry to help provide us some direction. By the way, that's Reggie Fils-Aimé. And you're like, oh, right. So the stock, the shareholders understand now that there is a change in not necessarily full leadership, but directional leadership, right, of an organization. And that can actually stabilize a little bit. And the other interesting part is that actually may make them now a much more attractive company to purchase. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're refreshing it. You're bringing in this leadership. Now I've gone from a spot where I think that's a down stock or a down company to purchase to I see you're making the right leadership changes. I like what you're doing. Let's get in while we still can. Now so it may be kind of almost like plumping it up for a really good sales ownership thing.
Let me throw something at you. I know it'll never happen. Never happen in a million years. This is just what ifs. This is just fun little whatever. Yeah. What if Nintendo bought them?
That would be really cool. And that would, so I'm already thinking, I was like, so I would change all of those GameStops to be mini Nintendo World stores.
Exactly.
Right? That's what you do. You'd got, now the other challenge with that though is, and I'm going to sound like evil corporate Justin, right? Is I would shut down a bunch of them. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, because like I don't know about you, but like in my town alone, right, we're I think 100,000 people. We've got 3 of them. Yeah, and we literally have 2 of them in the same mall. Yeah, right. Like I'm like
I've said that all along. I've said that's the biggest issue with GameStop right now. Now they have started closing a bunch down. Yeah, like you literally go and there's like 3 within a mile of each other where I live, and it's like there's no need for that. Like you take the best store, you take the best employees in all 3 stores, throw them in the best store, the best performing store, and then there you go. Yeah, it stinks because people lose jobs, but at the end of the day, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and again, let me just be very clear on this. There is no fault to GameStop, EB Game employees. I think they're amazing. They do the best job they can. I agree. Right, and like so, and they're very passionate about what they do. Right, so absolutely for them. Right. Yes. But I do think like you could do this kind of like revamped, energized look. Now they are, if I remember correctly, they are doing some kind of revamping or a Model 2.0 where they're trying to make it more of like a loungy feeling. Yes. Right, where you can come in and sit down and play games together. I don't know if that would take off, right? Because it's like if I'm gonna like go and hang out and play with my friends, I'm gonna go do that, right? Yeah. Or the other thing that really has a market that does well in that, and I don't know if you have any near you, Bobby. Excuse me, is barcades.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like I'm down in Kansas City. There's a couple fantastic barcades. Yeah. Right. There's kind of like so it's like. And sure, look, you're not selling beer at EV Games, right? Or GameStop, right? You're not doing that. So it's this weird kind of like, I don't know. But it'd be interesting to see, again, I think, for indicators for what this could look like. It'll be interesting to see if the stock shares begin to go up a bit. Yeah. Again, you're paying for name clout, right? Yeah. Reggie Fils-Aimé, former Nintendo president, right? Yeah. So, and then the other part will be: will we see GameStop go back up for sale, and will we see it then be purchased? Right now, if it goes up for sale, the other part I would say is the board of directors would have to approve that sale. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So they're kind of aware of what they're getting into, but it may be plumping them up. But of course, I would assume that Reggie's being compensated nicely. This isn't volunteer time.
This ain't like, hey, I'm going to come to
I got nothing else to do today,
my own gracious heart, I'm just going to show up today. And
I suspect that there's some financial incentives there too, maybe even stock prices, right? But I'd be interested to see what that ends up looking like in the next little bit for them as well.
Do you think I don't. This place kicks us out at like in 30 minutes, so we got a couple minutes left here. But anyway, listen. My question is real quickly before the barista comes and yells at us.
She's giving me the eye.
She is giving. She is. She's.
I wanted another refill, and you're not like. It's empty.
They're not going to. They won't. They won't give you refills. There's no refills here. But has Nintendo given up on Pro controllers, man? Like making special edition Pro controllers?
I know, right? When was the last one? Smash?
Smash. It's almost like they've just been like, here you go, PowerA. You have the ball, go with it.
I really and so and again, the work that PowerA is doing, PDP, all the they are Nintendo quality, so Nintendo's looking over. They're nice. Like I like them.
They're okay.
Right? But
they're not great.
But for like people like you and I who are kind of like collectors and enthusiasts, I'm like, no, I want a new one. I was actually shocked. Like the PowerA ones are nice for Animal Crossing. I was shocked they didn't do an official.
I know.
Official one.
I thought man, if they did the arms in blue and then that pastel blue and then a pastel green leaf on it, it would have been a home run, man.
Yeah.
Like you would have sold like gangbusters. Because here's the thing, like for me, I feel like PowerA always redesigns the Xbox ones they do. Yep. But they have one model of they had the wired ones that were one model. Then they switched over to the wireless ones, and it's a different feel to it. It's a totally different controller. It feels differently. Like the sticks and stuff feel different. I actually fell out of love with them. I got rid of them all because I just was like, this is not. And I actually canceled my pre-order on the Animal Crossing ones because I was like, I just don't want these. I don't want them. Like they look. Yeah. Some of them look amazing. Yeah. The Pokemon ones are fantastic. Yes. I think I got one with Mewtwo and Pikachu on it, and it's gorgeous. But like. Yep. I just don't like. I want Nintendo to do, because here's the thing: the Nintendo controller is just bulky and heavy. Yep, it feels so comfortable in your hands.
Yeah, and it's got a nice weight to it. It feels nice, right? Yeah. And there's a little bit of premiumness that you're paying for that, right? You're paying for the extra amiibo sensor, the gyros, and I don't know about you, I never use them, right? Yeah. Like, but it's like there is something about it that feels just solid.
I mean, right? what are you saving? You're saving what, $10? What's a Pro controller? 60, 70?
But I think it's 70.
And it's 50 for a PowerA wireless, so it's
is it?
So you're saving $20.
Yeah, it all depends. Like, and I like, so for example, PDP sent us some wired ones, 10-foot face ones. Those are like $25 to $30. And I do think there's a market for that, right? Yeah. Especially, hey, I just got a Switch, I've got kids. Yeah. I don't want to pay $70 for a controller. Totally get that. Right?
I get that. Yeah.
Here's a fantastic alternatives, right? Yes. But I think for enthusiasts, or what I would call maybe, and I don't use the word pro players, right? I don't want to use that, but like there is a market for that kind of weightier thing. I'd be interested if we're going to see, like, when something like a Metroid comes out, is that like. Is there specific controllers that make sense for that, right? And I think Splatoon's a great example. That Pro Controller experience is fantastic. Smash, sure. So maybe they're holding those cards, but it is a little bit disappointing to not have seen a really nice one since Smash. And again, we're looking at that's over a year.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Right. It really is disappointing. I think it's such a missed opportunity. I feel like I expected more. I expected one for Mario Odyssey. We never got one. I expected. We got one for Xenoblade. You would think that, you get it for Xenoblade, they're going to do it for other ones, but
I think at that point where Nintendo was kind of in their development life cycle and where they were with the Switch, it was kind of like, let's see how these things do, right? We're going to make these special ones, we're going to sell them, and I think they saturated the market probably very quickly, right? Between different Joy-Con colors, Pro Controller variants, a lot of those kind of things. And I think what they probably saw was that people were more attracted. So, for example, to Joy-Con colors, right? So they're probably purchasing, Joy-Cons, and they have not issued any Joy-Cons that are specific to a series in relation to just buying them singular, right? Yeah. Obviously, you buy the Animal Crossing ones special, but they're all here are color variants. Yes. Whereas controllers are almost like touchstones in time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You get the Xenoblade one because you're getting Xenoblade that day and you're hyped for that one. There's a cycle of probably a couple of months there, but then you move on. Yeah. Whereas the color ones are timeless in that of like, I can buy the yellow ones right now and you're like, oh yeah, the yellow ones look sweet. Yeah. So they have been like this surplus of we build it, we make 100, 50% of them sell, and then you're like, you got the other 50. Well, what do we do? Well, they're already this color. Yeah. So I think there may be that. I don't know for sure.
It's possible. Yeah. So, all right, man, we got to go. We got to get out of here.
But I think you need to find a better coffee shop that stays open later and refills a cup. Yeah. What does a man got to do?
I don't know. All right, man, I'll see you later, Justin.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to A Cuppa Joe Nintendo, a production of the Youve and Capri Patreon. If you like the show, you can support them at patreon.com/YouVeCapri. A Cuppa Joe Nintendo is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and all of your other podcast services. Be sure to follow Bobby and Nintendo Gurus on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. For everything that Sean does on the internet, follow him on Twitter, @Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Also, twitch.tv Sean Capri. That is all. Peace out, Preston.